Hello and welcome back, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about how not to go back to the narcissist. Now, it's the holiday season's coming up, and this sadly is when many people do go back, and oftentimes they regret this. So we need to acknowledge that we end up with amnesia. So although at first it's all a big shock as to what they've done and everything else, many times we collapse and submit to their behavior. If you are, if you have been discarded or you discarded the narcissist, then what will start to happen is limerence will kick in. And limerence is fantasy. So we go into what I refer to as the trauma brain, and we start fantasizing about the relationship. And sadly, because there's cognitive dissonance, you may be saying things to yourself like, it wasn't really that bad. I know that it can work. Possibly it was my fault. Maybe I didn't understand him that well. But then there's the other side with cognitive dissonance, and that is, no, he can't change. She can't change. I'm going to get hurt again. So those two belief systems are occurring. We do have betrayal amnesia, sadly. And betrayal amnesia is when someone has hurt us very, very badly and we just turn a blind eye to it. And this gets us into a lot of trouble. Sadly, when someone shows you their true colours, 9 times out of 10, believe it. If someone can't be around you for those bad times or to support you when needed, and if when you share some traumas with them or upsets, they get going. Narcissists don't really like to hear too much about other people's problems, unless, of course, it's so that they can use it against them. Narcissists are people who it's about them, me. So if you are someone who is presenting with issues or problems and they want to find out what it is, often you can share that with them and then they'll cut you off because it's just all too much for them. So they don't actually think of you, and what you're needing is too much for them. And often they will go, and if you have confided in things that people have done to you, they can often go to the very perpetrator themselves and tell them. So they can actually cause secondary trauma responses, which is very sad. What we need to start to do is say, I want to get a rational understanding on this, yeah? And it's about understanding that we don't see things clearly. It will help if you do have a trusted friend or a coach or a counselor you can sit with to go through the reality of the situation. That can help. Another thing you can do, I strongly advise, is that you actually write down a list of absolutely everything that has occurred in the relationship, how the person let you down. Whether they're a narcissist or not, it does not matter. But write down how you have been let down, not just once by this person, but many, many, many times. And write down the reality of how this relationship made you feel. Then write down the limerence stories. What takes you into this fantasy bubble that there's a relationship? The only way you're having a relationship with someone is if they're there with you. That's when you're having a relationship. So anything else is your way of dealing with the trauma is by going into a fantasy. Now, the fantasy acts as a protective mechanism for you. So you feel like you're in the relationship because you're fantasizing, but you're actually also doing that to protect yourself by not going back near the narcissist again. The body remembers. Even when you heal trauma, the body will remember, right? The body will react when someone with similar energy and behaviors comes near you, and it will make you stop. You could have a trauma trigger that isn't in proportion with the event that's taken place. You may have people who don't validate you or your story, so then that can trigger you again. So this holiday season, set an intention. Set an intention that you want to see things as they are, not the way you wish them to be. And remember, every time you go back to the narcissist, it gets worse and worse. And we just don't know, how it's going to turn out. So remember, that abuse cycle comes around faster, quicker. So this holiday season, wherever you are, whatever's happening with you, remember, being alone, if you find yourself, without a partner, if you find yourself without the narcissist and you're missing them, then there are other things that you can do. And try to stay around people who are good for your body. All right, that's all for now, and take lots of care. Bye.